So we are back in the games room and it's time for pickups from Japan for the month of April. So what wonderful retro goodness did I get from the Holy Land? Well, a bit of PlayStation 1. I did mention in my previous PlayStation Memories video that I did identify a couple of shooters that I really needed to get for my collection, and I picked up a couple of them, so I'm really happy to do that. And I got a couple of the PlayStation 1 games along with it because they were a bit lonely in the package, so yeah, I got a couple of cheap ones just to go along with it. A couple of punts in there. Yeah, some of them paid off, some of them not so. I also got some Super Famicom, so from Yahoo Auctions I got some Super Famicom games. Always nice to get a bit of Nintendo cardboard, and of course a sprinkle of PC Engine in there as well, so I've got a couple of them as well at the end. So let's start off with the PlayStation 1 games, and I'll leave the shooter to last, but I'll show you the other PlayStation 1 games that added into the package. So I couldn't resist this one. I got it previously on the Super Famicom last month. You probably saw it. It's that fishing game again. It is Umihari Kawazi Shun this time. So you got the additional shun in there. So this is basically a sort of platforming sort of game, platform puzzle I would say. You got like a fishy sort of fishing theme, as in this little girl with a fishing rod. You got to fling yourself around the platform, and yeah, you're going to get attacked by fish as well. Brutal game. It's all about this sort of mechanics of this fishing rod. That's what the game's all about, really. And yeah, absolutely brutal. One hit deaths. And you have to get the timing perfectly, and this game is pretty much the same as the previous one on the Super Famicom. It's just done a little bit better, slightly different, and yeah, they've really got it down this time with the actual mechanics of the fishing rod. So I'm well happy to get this one, and this one is much cheaper than the Super Famicom game as well. This one is dirt cheap. It was only, I think, 1,000 yen or something like that, so I don't know what that is. It's less than $10 US. So it's probably about a $5. It's definitely worth a punt on this one. So is that one, and then another game as well. And this one really was a punt. I saw it's by Konami, and it is Lightning Legend. Now, it's a fighting game. I expected more from it. I thought Konami, a fighting game. It kind of looked 2D-ish, but it's not. It is slightly hand sort of painted 3D, but it's not good. It really isn't good. You'll see from the footage, it looks beautiful. The sprites are big, and especially for this era as well, 3D. Sometimes they look a bit blocky, but this game it doesn't. The sprites look fantastic, but I hate it when you actually get stuck hitting into air. Then you know it's a bad game. There's just something wrong with the playability. They just didn't get it right. So this is really disappointing. I expected a lot more from this game. Yeah, it was complete punts. I don't think this got released in the West. It's probably because it's so bad, the playability wise. But it's interesting. It's got interesting characters. It could have been so much more. Very disappointing. And I'm sticking with disappointing. This one really got me. So this is actually based off an arcade. It's a reimagining of an arcade game, a classic arcade game. I saw this on John's Arcade. He picked up one of these cabs, and it is Hyper Crazy Climber. So in the actual arcade, you got I think you got 2 sticks, and you use those 2 sticks to climb up, just to avoid plants and stuff like that. It's exactly the same theme, but it's just so badly done. It's so boring. And it doesn't work well with the controller. I just kept on getting stuck. I was so disappointed. I was expecting so much more from this as well. It also by Nikabutsu as well, who did the arcade game. Really disappointed with this one. Real shame. I have no idea if this made it to the West or not. I have no idea. Should have done a bit of research with it, really, shouldn't I? So the next 3 are shooters, and they're all crackers as well. So first up is one that probably most people know about. I think this one, it got a PAL release, but it is one of the Bokan Time games. So yeah, it's the same dudes that did the Gatchaman series and all the rest of it, and it's a really cool little shooter. It's very different than other shooters. It's a lot of fun. You'll see from the footage, it doesn't take itself seriously. You got all different vehicles. It's kind of like a sort of cutesy sort of Perrodius sort of feel to it, and it's a lot of fun. It's yeah, you'll see from the footage, but definitely recommend it, and it's very cheap as well. So for a PlayStation 1 shooter, fantastic stuff. Really recommend this one. But it's not a serious shooter. Don't go in there thinking you're going to be going for high scores and all the rest of it. It's just a bit of fun. You get in there, play for half an hour, and then you get bored of it. But yeah, it's definitely worth its entry fee. Okay, the next one I'm so excited to get. It's not only it's a shooter, but it's of a series that I used to love as a kid. I don't know about you guys, well, it's probably showing my age, but I think it was called Battle of the Planets. But is the Gatchaman, the shooting? I'm sure it's called Battle of the Planets in the UK. Fantastic series. I used to love it, and to get a shooter like this is absolutely gorgeous. It's a simple, cheap series of Japan. This budget series. I don't think it got released anywhere else. It's just a simple shooter, but looks fantastic. It's got all your characters in it, but it's easy.
At the time, I didn't actually realise that it's actually developed by Warashi. So these are the same dudes that did some of the fantastic shooters which I love, like Shinru. I've covered that before, and also Trigger Heart Excelsior as well, which is on the Naomi or also on the Dreamcast. So these guys know how to develop good shooters. They didn't do too many of them, but when they did do them, they were absolutely fantastic.
This one wasn't too cheap. This one was 6,000 yen, so you're gonna have to pay like it's about, I guess that's about 45 US dollars, so I guess that's about £30. So it's not a cheap game for a simple shooter, and it's easy. So I actually have gone through the whole game. I 1cc'd this, so if I can 1cc it, it's easy. But it's a lot of fun. Basically you got the first level for each one. You do each one of the characters. So first time you're running you're on the ground running as a character, and then you use their ship on the second stage. And once you go through all the characters, then you use that famous spaceship that does turns into that flaming falcon or whatever it is. Fantastic stuff. I love it. Very simple, but I had a lot of fun playing it. And I even getting the footage, even though I completed this game, I 1cc'd it, I did the footage again, I just kept on playing through it. A lot of fun. But yeah, is it worth the entry fee? Oh, it's debatable. But for the memories, I love the series, I couldn't resist it. The next game is the shooter. Now this is an amazing shooter. It is a compile shooter, so it's probably giving it away straight away for those who know. And it was originally on the Famicom, and they re-released it. So it's Zanak X Zanak. So what this is, it's got the original on it as well, which I actually do have. Oh, let me just grab this one here. So this is it on the Famicom disc system, and they've got a new version of it which is amazing, which is the Neo Zanak. So you got both versions there, and it's absolute classic. You can see what compiles history in this game. You know where it all comes from. You know, when you play at least Russia, at least you know exactly where everything's come from. It's all come from here. I think it was an MSX game originally, or yeah, Basic Compile was basically big on the MSX before they came onto the systems. But fantastic, gorgeous shooter, filled to bits to get it, and yeah, this is not a cheap one. So this one will cost, I think it was about 15,000 yen. So we're talking well over $100. So it's not a cheap game, but it is a fantastic shooter, and it's one of Compile's masterpieces. It really is. I think it's one of the last games they did as well. One of the last shooters they did. I'm probably wrong there, but I've got a feeling it is. So that is the PlayStation games. Next up is the Super Nintendo, or the Super Famicom games. And here I was heavily influenced, as always, by Nintendo Arcade himself, Alex. And as always, he has fantastic pickups. He knows his stuff when it comes to the Super Nintendo. And there's a couple of games in there he recommended I knew nothing about. And I had to get them. Once he showed them, I had to get them. The first is the Shooting Caravan Collection. So this has got 3 games on it. They're all Famicom games. So way back in the day, they used to always have like a yearly sort of shoot 'em up challenge. So they did it on the Famicom. They also did it on the PC Engine. So I think it started off on the Famicom, and this is 85, 86, 87. I think after 87 it moved on to the PC Engine. Classic games. You've got Star Force, Star Soldier, and Hector. I think it's Star Hector or something like that. It's part of the same series. So Star Force was actually by Techno, and Star Soldier and Hector were, I think, from Hudson. And I think also by Compile as well, because it was Star Soldier's Compile. So yeah, this is a fantastic series of games, and it's basically high score challenges, and yeah, it's good stuff. I actually do have some of the Famicom games. So this is Star Soldier, and I think this is Super Star Force, so I think it's maybe slightly different, but it's all good. Really great to have it in one place, and it's good, fantastic ports, and it's not expensive. It's a really good game to pick up for your collection. Definitely recommend it. And the other one I couldn't resist. This is this Gundam fighting game. Oh man, this is amazing. It really is a very, very cool game. If you like your Gundam, if you like your fighters, it's a no-brainer. So really cool. Very happy to pick this one up. The graphics are fantastic. The gameplay as well, it plays really well. I mean, it's not as good as something like a Street Fighter. You're never going to get that, but it's a really, really decent game. I'm really chuffed to get this one. And yeah, most of all the graphics and sound is pretty damn cool. You can't go wrong with fighting with Gundams, can you? So next up is a game I was desperate to get. This is in the same series as the Devil's Crush and the Alien Crush. So there's one on the Super Famicom. It is Jacky Crush. So again, this is by Compile. It's a bit of a theme here. Yeah, this is a fantastic pinball game. It's probably not as good as the other two, but it's a good, really good theme. It's tough. It's tough. You always end up on the bottom section. It's tough to get it back up to the top section, but it's a lot of fun and very addictive. I always try and just play a little bit of these games, and I just get hooked and spend longer than I originally planned. These are fantastic. Really nice theme, really nice graphics. If you like pinballs, this is a no-brainer. Definitely recommend this one. I don't think this one, again, all these 3 didn't come out in the West. And I've got a couple of games that did come out in the West. So I went on a bit of a Capcom sort of trip. Nothing to do, I know there was recently a podcast talking about Disney games. Pure coincidence, but I went a bit of a if you're going to go Capcom, you're going to get Disney, aren't you? So I wanted to pick up the Mickey Mouse games. So this is this one is the Circus Mystery one, the second one. It's really, really nice. It's Capcom. It's a platformer. You ain't going to get it wrong, are you? You know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get gorgeous graphics. You know you're going to get something very playable. And this is exactly what it is. And also I was sort of playing this one, and my little girl came over. She loves Mickey Mouse, so she was well interested in it, and I think she's going to be playing a bit of this. I'll probably kick her off on playing some video games. This one would be a good one for her to start. It's a bit tough for her, but all these platformers, they can sort of play around for a little bit. And same theme, I went for the third one as well. I think this one didn't come out in the West. I think it did on the Game Boy Advance, but I don't think on the Super Nintendo it came out. So this is the third one. So this is the one with Donald. I forgot exactly what it's called. I think it's the Magical Quest 3 or something like that. Anyway, it's exactly the same sort of game. This one's got a nice little, you've got like a nice outfit with the punching. It's quite cool. It's again exactly the same. They just reskinned it a little bit, slightly changed a few things on it. It's a lot of fun. Definitely recommend this one as well. Not particularly expensive. The other one I got as well, this one did get released in the West, but not under Capcom. I think Virgin Interactive did it. So for some reason Capcom have got the name to it, and in Japan it's Pinocchio. This one I didn't really get into it. It's got good graphics. It's got everything about it is it's glossy. you're going to enjoy it, but the playability, it wasn't quite there for me. Yeah, you basically, similar to the other games, you know, it's a platformer, but this one's more of a puzzle element. You've got to pick up all the different pieces and then get it back to the fairy, and then you can progress. Didn't really enjoy this one as much as I was expecting. I thought this was going to be a bit better. Bit disappointed with it. I'm not sure how much Capcom had to do with this one, whether they just published it and then I think Virgin probably did everything else with it. I blame Virgin, not Capcom. Staying with Capcom, I got Rockman X3. So I actually do have this one, but I wanted to get the box of this. I've got two, no, X1, X2 I've got on the American NTSC. So the third one is very expensive, so I went for the Famicom version for this, and I just wanted the art on it as well. I'll sell the loose cart and keep a nice complete box with cardboard. And that's it for the Capcom. I got two more Super Famicom games, and they're both Konami. So I do want to pick up all the Konami games. They're pure class, aren't they? So first up is Perrodius. I forgot which one this one's not Sexy Perrodius, it's the other one. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Chatting Perrodius. Or it could be just called Perrodius in the West. Anyway, it's a pretty damn good game. Everyone knows Perrodius, right? What can you say? An amazing shooter. Graphics fantastic. And for Super Famicom, it plays really well. It's not really well known for really good shooters, but this one is fantastic. And the other one as well is the Pop and B. So I had this one back in the day. I had when I had my original Super Nintendo, so it's cool to finally get this one back. So yeah, some reason this one didn't come out in North America. I think this one did come out. I think both of these weren't out in North America, but they came out in the PAL territories. Strange. Same with the Pop and B Adventure one as well. That didn't get released in North America. So that is it for the Super Famicom games. So next up is the PC Engine. So similar to the PlayStation, and what I've done is there's a couple of games that I really wanted to get, and I got it from Surrogate, and so it gives me a chance to pick up some of the cheaper ones that I wouldn't normally pick up, because it doesn't make sense. You're going for one of the cheaper games, you're going to cost more on the postage. So yeah, you got to bundle it together. You got to package it together and make it cost effective, right? So some of these are a little bit of a punt. I had no idea what they're going to be like, but yeah, some of them are alright. Like the first one, I've got Color Wars. Yeah, it's a quirky kind of game. It's it's kind of a puzzle game. It's kind of like I think it's Othello. Othello is the game where you change the from black to white when you jump over. I think it's like a three-dimensional Othello with multiple colours. You'll see from the footage. It's clear from the footage, but simple idea. Yeah, it was fun for. It's more fun than I actually imagined. Probably more fun than the footage sort of shows. Yeah, it's not too bad, and for the price it was as well. Definitely worth the entry on that. It's a very cheap game. The other game is F1 Circus, and it's Pull to Win. Now this one, yes, I was a bit surprised by this, because a lot of these F1 games, it's like proper driving simulation sort of games. But this is not. This is a top-down, so this is a lot of fun. I didn't get too far on it, so I don't know what the racing. I was just doing the qualifications, but definitely I'm going to play this one more and give it a go. I'm sure the other F1 Circus games are not top-down; they're driving simulations. Probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I was definitely pleasantly surprised by this, and it's all about Lotus as well. It's sponsored by Lotus or whatever, so that's quite cool. One that's very, very. You'll see the cover and you'll laugh. It's Faceball. I mean, it looks like a heap of shit, but yeah, it kind of is. It's kind of like Pac-Man meets Doom, I guess. But it's crap. It really is. They haven't. It would have been okay if they actually gave proper intelligence to the enemy. Maybe it's better if you play against someone rather than the CPU. But yeah, I don't think three-dimension shooters is a place for the PC Engine. but it was for the cheapness of it, it was worth a punt, and it's a bit of a laugh. So the next one, again, is a bit of a punt, and unfortunately it's very, very text heavy. It's Gulliver Boy, so not a lot I can say about this one. Yeah, it's an RPG, and it's a very text heavy RPG. I wasn't sure what it was like. I did the research after getting the game, which is kind of foolish, but there you go. It looked interesting from the cover, so I gave it a go. Right, it was relatively cheap, but yeah, apparently it's a very good RPG. So maybe one day I'll be able to get some sort of translation patch or whatever and probably check it out, but at the moment, unfortunately, not a lot I can do with that one. So next up is a shooter. So I'm slowly picking up the remaining little shooters that I need to get for the PC Engine, and yeah, this is one game I struggled to get. It's Honey in the Sky, or Honey in the Sky, depending which article you read, and yeah. So many times I tried to do a bid on this one, I always lose for many years. I mean, we're talking about when I first was getting the PC Engine, I was trying to get this one. For some reason, whatever reason, I never pushed it because I knew this is a very common game. It's a very early game, so I never really pushed it, thinking I would get it cheaper, but I probably paid double now than I was trying to pay back in the day. But anyway, I'm happy to get this one finally, and it is a nice little shooter as well. It's surprising, you know, that you're this sort of, apparently a doll, but you look like a cross between a cactus and a dildo or something. Not two things you want to get mixed up, but anyway, this is a cool little shooter, and I like the mechanism of it, but it's tough. You know, you can rotate your gun around, but because of that, it's difficult to rotate, you know, the speed wise. So yeah, you need to know exactly where the enemies are coming from so you can rotate in time. It's tough. I died multiple times on the first level. It beat the shit out of me, but it's good fun. I definitely recommend it, and it's not an expensive one as well. It's one of the few shooters that are very cheap, so definitely recommend you get that one. Apparently the later levels get more interesting as well, so I need to stick more time into it, but like I say, it's brutal. It really is. You got to memorize exactly where the enemies are coming from. Oh dear. So the last PC Engine is one I was specifically after because I visited the fill-in cafe and I wanted more. So I don't know if you remember, I got was it Panzer Bandits? So the dudes that did that was Fill-In Cafe, and so I was desperate to get more from what they did. And it is Azuka, I can't remember the Azuka 120% Maxima Burning Fest. It's basically a fighter. Well, yeah, it's a fighter. It's a really nice fighter though for the PC Engine. It's not too pervy. It is an all-girl fighter, but it's not one of these pervy ones. Don't worry, it's definitely worth playing. It's not too expensive as well. A lot of fun. I was expecting it to use the 6-button control, the Avenue pad, but it's not. It just needs 2-button. Yeah, it plays really well, and I'm probably going to try and get the PlayStation 1 version of it, because for sure, no, it's not quite, you know, this is no Street Fighter, as I probably always say. It's a lot of fun, and I'm sure on the PlayStation 1 that version's probably really good, so I'm going to give that a go. But happy to get this one. Fantastic game, definitely worth trying it out, especially you can get it on the cheap. So that is all the games I've got for you. So yeah, I hope there's one or two in there that piques your interest, that maybe, you know, you want to go and get for yourselves, or you know, or I've warned you off of a couple of games as well. So I hope you enjoyed it and you made it to the end of the video. So yeah, congratulations as always, and thank you so much. So I'll be seeing you later.